Welcome to Mobilization Awareness Training. Mobilization awareness training is required for all personnel who may be called upon to respond to a state mobilization incident. State mobilization is a process used to quickly notify, assemble, and deploy fire service personnel and equipment to any local fire jurisdiction in the state that has expended or will expend all available local and mutual aid resources in attempting to manage fires, disasters, and other all-hazard events that threaten a community. The state mobilization plan was directed to be formed by the Washington State Legislature in the wake of the 1991 Spokane firestorm. The plan was developed by the State Fire Defense Committee and was officially adopted in 1994. The State Fire Defense Committee reports directly to the mobilization section of the Washington State Patrol. Committee membership consists of 2 representatives from each of the 9 fire defense regions, the Washington State Fire Marshal, a representative from the Emergency Management Division and Washington State Department of Natural Resources Resource Protection Division. The Fire Defense Committee reviews and updates the mobilization plan, establishes policies concerning fire service personnel, assists in locating and tracking fire service resources, recommends rate schedule for the Washington State Chiefs Association for approval, and approves or denies claims. The 9 fire defense region boundaries do not line up with DNR regional boundaries. Central region includes Lewis, Thurston, Pacific, and Grays Harbor counties, while South Puget Sound region includes Mason, Pierce, and King County. Regional coordinators maintain current regional fire resource lists, develop and maintain regional fire defense plans, provide a 24-hour point of contact for resource requests, and assist local fire chiefs in submitting mobilization requests. Only the fire chief or their authorized representative has the authority to request state fire service resource mobilization. Once an incident occurs that has or will expend local mutual aid resources, the local fire chief will contact the regional coordinator, who will assist the fire chief in requesting mobilization through the Washington State Patrol. Once the mobilization has been approved by the chief of the Washington State Patrol, the regional coordinators are notified by WSP and resources are dispatched to the scene. If dispatched to a fire mobilization incident, you will be given an incident name, an incident order number, a job assignment, a reporting location, a location of the incident, a check-in location, reporting time, travel instructions, and your resource order number. Some forms you need to fill out before you depart is the mobilization manifest form. You'll keep one with you and the other one is emailed to the Washington State Patrol. You'll do your apparatus inventory and have a crew list with the name and emergency contact information for the folks assigned to your crew. WAC 296305 says that all members who engage in emergency operations shall be trained commensurate with their duties and responsibilities. Personnel can provide documentation of qualification through either their red card or a signed letter from his or her fire chief. Effective 2016, personnel responding to a wildland incident shall be qualified in accordance with NWCG 310-1 for the ICS position held. In other words, individuals must be red carded for the position they will hold. Personnel requesting compensation above the level of Wildland Firefighter 2 must provide proof of qualification. This is usually done by displaying your red card. Incident management team members must be qualified in accordance with Section 11 of the mobilization plan. People mobilizing to a fire mobilization incident must have realistic expectations. You will be exposed to potentially dangerous conditions. You'll be working 12 hours or more per day. It'll be hot and dirty. You'll have difficulty communicating to home. and there'll be camp-type sleeping, eating, and showering facilities. Permitted activities on fire mobilization will be based upon current training, experience, and physical conditioning levels. Personnel have the responsibility to deny an assignment that exceeds their training and/or experience level. Field training opportunities may be available for individuals that possess a position taskbook initiated by their home agency. To get the most out of your assignment, discuss your training needs with your supervisor early in the incident and make sure you check in with the incident training specialist. State mobilization requires a minimum time commitment of 72 hours, with at least the first 24 hours to be considered without logistical support. That means personnel should always arrive with enough food, water, and ice for the first 24 hours. The minimum equipment and supply inventory will depend upon the nature of the incident, duration, and the task assignment. Required equipment for a wildland assignment includes a new generation fire shelter, flame-resistant clothing, shirt and trousers, a helmet with a chin strap and a headlamp, eye protection, leather boots 8-inch lace-up, a small backpack or web gear for working on the fire line, and a watch. For those working within the interfaced operations, you'll need all the items above plus your complete structural personal protective equipment. For clothing items, you'll want to bring underwear and socks. I recommend bringing 7 days worth of underwear and socks in case you get assigned to a long duration incident or get bounced from fire to fire, your Nomex outerwear, a hat, and a jacket. It's always a good idea to bring rain gear and a sweatshirt. If assigned to a structural engine, you'll need to bring your PPE and your accountability tags. Personal hygiene supplies such as your toilet kit, towel, lip balm, lotion, and sunscreen. Your sleeping bag, a tent, and your medical identification card, medications, your red card, sunglasses, watch, and a pocket knife. Shower facilities may not be immediately available for mobilization personnel. However, when they are available, shower facilities should be used by all personnel. Trust me, your partner will thank you. When shower facilities are not available, unscented baby wipes can sometimes help do the trick. Wash your hands before each meal, stay hydrated, and avoid caffeinated and energy drinks. Apparatus typing is established by the NWCG. In this program, I won't be going into any detail in regards to apparatus typing. Suffice to say, Type 1 are structural engines and a Type 7 is a wildland engine. Type 1 has the most capability and a Type 7 has the least amount of capability. Here's an example of the different types of engine typing. Same thing with water tenders. Water tenders go Type 1 with a tank capacity of 4,000 gallons down to a Type 3 support tender at 1,000 gallons. A strike team is 5 of the same kind of resource with common communications and a leader. A structural strike team has 5 structural engines and a strike team leader. A wildland strike team has 5 wildland engines and a strike team leader. And a tender strike team has 5 water tenders and 1 strike team leader. A task force, these are resources that can be configured into any combination of single resources within the span of control, assembled for a particular tactical need with common communications and a leader. An urban task force are the 4 structural engines, an aerial ladder, and a task force leader. A rural task force are 3 structural engines, 2 water tenders, and a task force leader. An interface task force includes 2 structural engines, 2 wildland engines, a water tender, and a task force leader. A wildland task force is 4 wildland engines, a water tender, and a task force leader. It is worthy of noting in the summer months we routinely dispatch strike teams, which include engines, a water tender, and a strike team leader. In all reality, that is technically a wildland task force. And last but not least, we have an EMS task force, which is 3 ALS ambulances, 2 BLS ambulances, and a task force leader. Apparatus dispatched to a fire mobilization incident are paid as a wet rate. That means all costs associated with the operation of that vehicle is paid by the owner and is not reimbursable. Mechanical failure or physical damage is included in that wet rate and is not reimbursable. Some examples include mechanical breakdowns, body damage, and incidental loss or damage to the apparatus, equipment, or personal property. Needed items can usually be procured from 2 areas at base camp. The communication unit has portable radios and batteries, and the supply unit has replacement foam, hose, nozzles and fittings, personal protective equipment, sleeping pads, sleeping bags, and line flagging. With the exception of consumable items such as flagging tape and foam, procured items must be returned prior to demob. A good rule of thumb, if you're required to sign for the equipment, you must return it. If you're not sure, please ask. The State Fire Marshal will assign an appropriate level of incident management for each mobilization incident. State mobilization may be under the command of a Type 3 IMT, a Type 2 IMT, a Type 1 IMT, or under unified command with a local incident commander and an assigned Type 1 through 4 incident commander. The state of Washington has adopted the National Incident Management System and will use the Incident Command System to manage all incidents involving state mobilization resources. All responding fire service resources should be trained to a minimum of ICS 100. This section is not intended to provide a comprehensive review of ICS and assumes responders are familiar with the system. The following section is provided to familiarize the responder with the various ICS positions they are likely to interface with during a mobilization incident. ICS has a well-defined system of communication and an orderly line of authority. ICS provides a system where communication flows up and down the chain. It also provides for unity of command. That's where each subordinate has only one supervisor. ICS span of control for any supervisor is considered 3 to 7 subordinates. Optimally, we like not to exceed 5 subordinates. And to maintain that span of control, responders are organized into strike teams and task forces, each with a leader and common communications. The incident commander is responsible for all aspects of the response, including developing the incident objectives and managing all incident operations. Because these are large incidents, generally you will have no direct operational contact with the incident commander. Make sure you use the chain of command. The Public Information Officer is responsible for the development and release of incident information. Make sure you notify the PIO of any community concerns and direct media to the PIO unless otherwise directed. The Safety Officer is responsible for incident safety. The Safety Officer must be notified of injury or vehicle damage. Make sure you do so through your strike team leader. The Liaison Officer is the point of contact for assisting and cooperating agencies. Direct all inquiries from outside agencies to the Liaison Officer. The Planning Section is responsible for the collection, evaluation, dissemination, and use of incident information and the status of resources. Make sure to advise the resource unit if your unit is out of service. Provide the situation unit with GPS tracks and lists of notable damage within the incident, such as destroyed homes. And provide documentation unit with daily ICS 214 unit logs and personnel evaluations. And most importantly, don't be shy. The planning section appreciates the information that you can provide. The operations section manages and supervises the operational aspects of the incident operation. It is managed by the operations sections chief. Make sure you interface with the operations section in accordance with the chain of command as previously identified. Branches can be used to divide an incident geographically or functionally, typically used when necessary to manage span of control. It is managed by a branch director. Air Operations Branch is responsible for all air operations involved in the incident. Air resources within your area of operation are normally requested through the division supervisor. Make sure you work through your strike team and task force leader. Divisions are used to divide an incident geographically. It's managed by a division supervisor. Only the strike team and task force leader should communicate directly to the division supervisors, except in an emergency where the strike team leader or task force leader cannot be reached. Groups are used to divide an incident by function, and they're managed by a group supervisor. Strike teams are 5 resources of the same type with common communications and a leader. They're managed by a strike team leader. A task force are resources configured into any combination of single resources assembled for a tactical need with common communications and a leader. They're managed by a task force leader. It's worthy of noting that task force leaders are commonly assigned to divisions as single resources to assist division supervisors in maintaining span of control. The logistics section is responsible for providing facilities, services, and materials for the incident response. The communications unit provides incident communications, and the comm unit can provide you with loaner portable radios and batteries. See the comm unit if you have a problem with your radio equipment. The medical unit is responsible for the development of the medical plan and the provision of medical care for incident response personnel. They can assist you with minor medical needs such as rashes and blisters, and they must be notified of medical emergencies involving response personnel. The supply unit is responsible for providing equipment and supplies needed to support the incident. See the supply unit to procure equipment and supplies such as PPE, replacement foam and hose, nozzles, and fittings. Remember, in most cases, these items must be returned prior to demobilization. The facilities unit is responsible for incident facilities. The ground support unit is responsible for incident transport needs. They also conduct vehicle inspections, and they may be able to assist with minor mechanical repairs. The Finance Administration is responsible for all financial and cost analysis aspects of the incident. The time unit tracks personnel and equipment time. Make sure you turn in your personnel time, otherwise known as a CTR, and your equipment time daily. The procurement unit manages the procurement and buying needs of the incident. The compensation claim unit is responsible for all administrative matters pertaining to compensation for injuries and claims related to the incident. On a mobilization incident, you will typically discuss those items directly with a WSP mobilization representative. The WSP mobilization section representative is not an ICS position. They serve as a liaison between the incident management team and the WSP mobilization section. They assist incident managers in acquiring facilities and supplies. They assist with check-in and work within the finance section in the demobilization of state mobilization resources. They can serve as an excellent resource for you. They can answer questions regarding payroll and compensation issues. They can advise and assist responders in the completion of appropriate paperwork, and they can assist with resource order number issues and questions. They must be notified of any anticipated crew changes. Personnel must seek authorization before any apparatus swaps may occur. New apparatus require a new resource order number. Apparatus self-dispatching to an incident will be sent home without compensation. Type of resource responses include one of three modes: immediate need, extended attack, and planned need. Immediate need resources are usually from the same fire defense region or an adjacent county. They respond within 15 minutes, have an ETA of 2 hours or less, and they take no camping gear. They usually work one operational period and then they are released. Extended attack resources come from other fire defense regions. They have to respond within 2 hours of the time of accepting the dispatch, and once they arrive, they have a 72-hour time commitment before they can demobilize. Planned need resources come from other fire defense regions. These are resources that are being sent for a planned need, and they will usually rendezvous and travel together to the incident. Initial attack and immediate need resources are usually released within 12 to 36 hours. Mobilization assignments are generally for a minimum of 72 hours and no more than 14 days exclusive of travel. Personnel must come prepared for a 72-hour minimum assignment, the first 24 hours without logistical support. That means you need to bring enough food, water, and ice for the first 24 hours. Crew changes require a 24-hour advance notice. They must be approved by the engine boss and strike team leader, and the mobilization section representative shall be advised of any crew changes. Crew changes involve the people, not the apparatus. Apparatus changes are not allowed without pre-authorization of the mobilization section. All personnel assigned to a mobilization incident are expected to lead by example, be proficient in their craft, promote a positive environment, deal with issues directly, empower others to solve problems, treat others as equals and with respect, expect the best, and share your knowledge. Remember, all forms of harassment and discrimination are expressly prohibited. Mobilizations are a drug and alcohol-free workplace. The manufacture, distribution, dispensing, possession, or use of controlled substances in the workplace is unlawful in accordance with the Federal Drug-Free Workplace Act of 1988. In addition to criminal prosecution, employees violating this prohibition will be subject to dismissal under the terms of the Fire Mobilization Plan and Fire Mobilization Temporary Employee Certification. The policies and work rules of your home agency govern your conduct. In cases of sexual harassment and discrimination, the IMT will conduct an investigation and notify your home agency. Your home agency must fully investigate the accusation of misconduct and notify the mobilization section of the outcome. Failure to investigate may prohibit future department participation in fire mobilization. Accusations of other misconduct will be referred to your home agency and may result in your immediate demob from the incident. Mobilized personnel must follow both home agency guidelines and incident management team directions regarding the use of social media. Remember, social media can generate destructive rumors amongst the affected population, can expose the responder to legal risk, and can facilitate the unauthorized release of information before affected parties have been contacted by authorities. Some potential dangers of fire mobilization include extreme fire behavior, high temperatures, smoke-filled environment, limited water supply, downed power lines, LPG tanks, hazardous materials, animals and critters, poisonous plants, falling trees, rolling rocks, and logs. Some safety precautions: always make sure to maintain your LCES, adhere to the 10 standard fire orders and the 18 watchouts, manage your fatigue, get adequate rest, stay hydrated, especially avoid caffeinated drinks, obtain a briefing, know who you are working for, know what your assignment is, acknowledge messages, ask if you don't know, and only accept assignments commensurate with your training and experience level. In the wildland-urban interface, do not commit to stay and protect a structure unless the safety zone for firefighters and equipment has been identified. Move to the nearest safety zone, let the fire front pass, and return as soon as conditions allow. Base all actions on current and expected fire behavior. Do this first. Estimate the approaching fire intensity to determine whether there is an adequate safety zone and time available before the fire arrives. If in doubt, move personnel and equipment to safety. Remember, your primary consideration is for the safety of the responders and apparatus. For driving safety, remain aware of your surroundings. Avoid excessive speed, especially on steep grades. Have your headlights on for safety. Increase following distances when traveling in a strike team. Keep your windshields clean. Use emergency lights in heavy smoke or dust conditions. Use a spotter when backing. Do not drive through heavy smoke where you can't see. Use your wheel chocks. Vehicle accidents must be immediately reported to the division supervisor and the safety officer. The safety officer will investigate and document the accident. Injuries must be immediately reported to the division supervisor, who will in turn advise the medical unit leader. The medical unit will provide or arrange for care of the injured person. An employee of a fire service agency must report the injury to their home unit within 24 hours and complete and fax the following items to their home unit: a personal injury notice, which can be found in Appendix M of the immobilization plan, a medical unit report, and an emergency firefighter time report. Career members taken to the hospital should advise the facility that this is an on-duty injury covered by Washington State L&I. Career members will list their home units as the employer on the L&I claim form. Volunteer members will list the Washington State Patrol Fire Protection Bureau as their employer. Contact the WSP mobilization representative for assistance if needed. When assigned to a fire, you will receive an incident order number. This number is based off a national system. The first 2 letters indicate the state, and the next 3 letters indicate the agency location. State Mobe uses WA, WFS, followed by a sequential number. An example would be WA, WFS 232. This number should be included on both your crew and equipment time reports. These are some examples of other federal numbering schemes that you may come across when assigned to a mobilization incident. A resource order number is a unique number assigned to each apparatus by the WSP mobilization section. All resources must have a resource order number. The number will be placed on the vehicle windshield, such as in this example. The resource order number is the primary tracking number for the apparatus and personnel. It should be included on both the crew and equipment time reports. Overhead personnel are issued an O number. Equipment is issued an E number. Aircraft are issued an A number. Crews are issued a C number, and supplies are issued an S number. The graph below is an example of a strike team with a strike team leader with an O number, the 5 engines with E numbers, and a strike team leader trainee with an O number. On an incident, all equipment will have a Mobe manifest form. All responders have a firefighter time report, emergency firefighter time report, otherwise known as a red dog, an equipment shift ticket, and emergency equipment use invoice. Volunteer personnel also have a W4 and a WSP waiver. While examples are provided here, it is recommended that responders receive hands-on instruction by the department's training officer in the correct completion of mobilization-related paperwork. Correct completion of mobilization paperwork can save you considerable grief at a later date. The mobilization manifest form is used to record personnel and equipment being sent to an incident, either as a single resource or as a strike team task force. Use one form per apparatus, complete the form, and then email it to the Washington State Patrol Mobilization Section and Washington State Emergency Management Division. The email addresses are on the bottom of the form. The Emergency Firefighter Time Report, also referred to as a red dog due to its red color, is used to track firefighter time. Crew time reports, otherwise known as CTRs, are turned in daily and transferred onto the red dog by the finance section. Red dogs are not used by incident management teams that use a computerized system called iSuite. The crew time report is used to track time of personnel. One form is used for each apparatus, signed by the division supervisor. Turn in the white copy daily to the time unit recorder in the finance section. The emergency equipment use invoice is used to track equipment time. Equipment shift tickets are turned in daily and are transferred onto the emergency equipment use invoice. The emergency equipment use invoice form is not used by incident management teams that use a computerized system called iSuite. The emergency equipment use invoice is used to track equipment time. Equipment shift tickets are turned in daily to the time unit within the finance section. The time unit transfers the information onto the emergency equipment use invoice or into iSuite. It is signed by both the engine boss and your division supervisor. Additional information on the correct completion of incident documentation can be found as a link in this training program and on the Washington State Fire Mobilization Section webpage. This concludes fire mobilization training. Be safe out there.